Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're talking about the one and only Turbo. You guessed it, it's our beautiful Turbo Toad token. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, things are looking fairly solid. Before we go into technical analysis, let's look at some of the basics. We can see we're currently ranked 160 in the world. We are around 100 or 342 million market cap, roughly 50 million volume in the last 24 hours. And we can see, ladies and gentlemen, that we are literally one holder away from 57,000 holders, which is beautiful, right? Which is beautiful. Did we technically hit it? No, we didn't yet. But we'll see if we hit it in this video. We'll see it if we hit it in this recording. But look, ladies and gentlemen, Turbo has been going roughly sideways for a day or so, which is very, very, very good. Now, the reason why I say this is good is because, ladies and gentlemen, the other day we had a shift in momentum, right? You can see that pretty much from, let's just say, August, I guess start of August 11th until early August 12th, right? Until like 8 a.m. for August 12th, we were just kind of selling off. We sold off a couple percent, take from here to down here. At one point, we sold off practically 12.5%. But we can see that roughly around 8 a.m., right? The New York candle, boom, absolutely did wonders. We closed very, very beautifully. We closed above this high over here at 0.0046. And then we closed above this high over here at 0.0048. All right, we closed at 0.00487. So we closed very, very good. We closed very, very good. And we can see in the last day or so, we've kind of just been stagnant. But look, that is a good thing. That is a good thing. Why is that a good thing? When usually when you see a shift in momentum, and then, ladies and gentlemen, you see some type of sideways movement, usually means that turbo or anything else really, like this can be for gold, for other cryptos. It usually means that there's a lot of demand at around 0.00486 that it doesn't want to pull back. It doesn't want a whole other correction phase, and that it is practically building a support, right? It is building a support so it could start pushing up higher and higher, which is what I believe is happening right now. Okay, that is what I ultimately believe. All right, that's what I ultimately believe. We can see the 4-hour candles aren't that pretty. They close up here, down here, up here. Boom, we had a higher low technically, and then we have a higher high. And then again, we have an equal low. And then now, as of right now, we have equal highs. So we have to see how this next 4-hour candle plays. It should pretty much close in a couple of hours. So we won't know, obviously, by the time this video ends. But I do expect overall for us to start bursting out of the zone, right? For us to start bursting out of zone, because the little zone we're in is kind of between 0.0048 and 0.005. And it's not a big zone. It's probably just a range of a couple percent. But yeah, three to 3.5% range. So nothing crazy. But overall, I expect Turbo to be looking to be pushing through the zone. If we do get a pullback, I maximum expect to go maybe into this order block over here, right? This nice order block at 0.0049, a potential tap to then start to continue to go higher. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to happen. Like I said, if there was going to be a pullback, then this is the maximum, more or less, I would expect it to go before we make another attempt to the upside. Before we jump into some next level, turbo analysis on the higher time frames, let's look at something what Bitcoin's doing, right? We saw Bitcoin reject off of the 122,000 zone, right? Because we had a order block there. It sold off a couple thousand, but you can see we're already back in this price action. Now, there's a very, very high chance that we will just continue to push higher and higher. Well, why is this important? It's because, ladies and gentlemen, there's two things that can play out. Either number one, Bitcoin continues its journey, which means we get a bigger altcoin season, which also means it might take an extra couple of weeks before altcoin season comes, or Bitcoin will start selling off here, start breaking structure, and this will be the official start of altcoin season. It won't be the start of the big grand finale where we have that usually go for 4 to 6 weeks, but it will be the start of the altcoin season officially. Okay, this is very, very important. One thing I do want to say, turbo holders, listen, we are breaking out in terms of how much money there is in the markets. So this is very, very good, right? There's very, very good. We obviously want to just kind of go hard the next couple of weeks, the next few short months of just going up consistently to as high as we can get. How high do I think we get? I think we can definitely get to 6 trillion, possibly even up to 9. But if anything, I would be looking between 6 and 9 trillion as the zone of where we officially tap out before there is going to be a big sell off. You have to remember something like the stock market, I believe in 2024, it had a peak around 180 trillion market cap. And yes, I understand the stock market, it's it's been here longer. But you understand crypto moves faster, and that is a reality. Okay. And there's going to be a lot of adoption over the next few months. So coins like Turbo, just in general, cryptos are going to see a lot of green. And especially when this starts selling off, when Bitcoin dominance really, really starts taking a hit, is when Turbo will start seeing really, really big numbers. Okay. And that is just the reality. That is just the reality, which is why it's super, super exciting. And yeah, I personally still, if it was up to me, would want things to be stalled out a couple more weeks or months just so Bitcoin can go up higher, just so we can get an extra 30, 40, 50% from our, cryptos. But at the same time, as things start happening now, this is still going to be a banger altcoin season. Huge, huge gains on the table. And ladies and gentlemen, it is super exciting. It is super, super exciting. But yeah, let's go back to Turbo just for a second. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, we are slowly climbing up the rank and the ladder. We can see that this weekly candle looks very, very weak in terms of selling pressure, right? And even if we were to end this week like this, ultimately what I see next week is a nice rally. Okay. It is a nice rally. I showed you the example of ZBEC last time where there was a candle exactly like this where we had a low and then we had a higher low and then the next following weeks were just pumps pumps pumps, right? And it's also very similar to this, right? It's also very similar to this where we have a decent buy candle, right? Last week we might have a mediocre weekly candle this week, and then the next following weeks is just pump, right? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe most likely with the way turbo trends to move, it I there probably will be a big burst, right? Turbo is known for bursting. We do have this massive zone we are looking to be breaking of 0.007 practically, right? So we have a diagonal support, or sorry, diagonal resistance, and we have a horizontal resistance. So, you know, I do expect some nice buying pressure very, very, very soon to burst past these zones. You can see in terms of the trend line, too, ladies and gentlemen, we've been holding it to perfection practically, but we can see we are slowly running out of space. So over the next few short weeks, Turbo will have to decide and pump, right? It might even prematurely pump, which is good for us. But yeah, that is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. Everything is looking good. Everything is looking great. Do not stress out. The better times are here and they will continue to be here. Ladies and gentlemen, I love you so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.